Despite official denials by leaders of the free world, sources now confirm the existence of Megaforce, a phantom army of super-elite fighting men whose weapons are the most powerful science can devise. Their mission, to preserve freedom and justice, battling the forces of tyranny and evil in every corner of the globe.
It's fantastic.
Well, here comes the egg, and that's no yolk.
Dallas, when a person doesn't have less on, they have more on? Exactly.
Major Ben Muda, General Byrne White, Professor X.
How do you do?
We have heard a lot about you. You're the gentleman with more degrees than a thermometer.
I was most impressed by your Delta Mark 4 motorbike.
Thank you. Anytime you want to browse around, just come on down. I'm on level 4. Wait a minute, this is level 4. But just come down here.
So how is it coming along?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's finished. And I think it's going to work. Just remember, it's the red buttons. 1 and then 2.
You're a genius. When can I try?
Well, I'm testing it right now in the wind tunnel. But at best, it's only good for an emergency. Okay, it's wonderful to meet everybody.
1, 2, huh?
Major, General, it's been a pleasure. I'll see you later.
Hey, Adrenalheads, I'm Frank.
And I'm Mark. And this episode of the podcast, we are covering the movie Megaforce from 1982.
Keep in mind, this is a spoiler podcast covering this 43-year-old movie. Wait, what? Well, if you've never seen it and don't want to be spoiled, stop the podcast now and go watch it. It can be found on Apple TV and Prime Video for rental, or you can just research the Internet Archive at http://archive.org. For those that want to be spoiled or laugh and have fun with us, just keep watching. That's actually where I watched it, because I've seen this movie a million times, but I wanted to be caught up on it.
Yeah. And yes, if you guys go to that, it's https://archive.org. You could actually download it or watch it live, whatever, on your computer. But they have it for rental for like $2.99 on Prime Video and $3.99 on Apple TV, for like iTunes or whatever. So I've had this movie for years. I spawned this on to Frank saying, hey, let's talk about this particular movie.
No, you know what? And that's the funny thing about that, because it wasn't, have you seen Megaforce? You was literally just like, yo, you want to talk about Megaforce? And you knew I was going to be like, yeah.
Because it's in your wheelhouse,
Exactly, right.
So that's the only reason why. I didn't even have to ask. Just want to talk about it. Okay, let's talk about it. And you're the only other person I probably know, other than like 5 other people that I've grown up with, that know this particular film. And it's one of those movies that it's either you love to hate it, or hate to love it, or you just love it based on nostalgia. And it's there's a few things in here that we're going to discuss that are similarities to something else that we grew up with, some of us. But for those who don't know the synopsis, I'm going to give the synopsis anyway. But the synopsis for this particular movie, which is Megaforce from 1982, it's a story about a rapid deployment defense unit that is called into action whenever freedom is threatened. Or Ace Hunter is the leader of Megaforce, an elite group of American soldiers who travel the world to fight evil. In this case, evil is represented by a third-rate dictator who they must blow to bits.
And that was directed by Hal Needham. Yep. If you don't know any other movies from Hal Needham, it's Hooper, Cannonball Run, just to name a few. So if you've ever seen those are Hal Needham movies.
Yeah, those are comedic hypes too, if you think about majority of them. So the budget for this particular film, estimated, and from what I could find on the internet, $20 million.
Yeah. Well, I would bet money that they spent most of that on the gadgets.
Yeah, the vehicle building and
Yeah.
all the other good stuff that's out there. But the movie initially grossed in US and Canada about 5,675,000.
That's a little less.
Yeah, and in opening weekend US and Canada it was like 2,350,000. But gross worldwide was 5,675,000. So it didn't make any money, everybody.
Well, not in the initial release. It might have made money by this time. You know, it's 43 years later.
It finally made its money back on digital download and DVD or Blu-ray. I did not find a Blu-ray copy, but
I'm not surprised. Yeah, I mean, it's 82, so it's just so old. And even when I watched it on the Internet Archive, like it's not a great copy that they got it from. So you can see all the grain and everything like that. But it's an old movie, so you expect that.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, they did a 2010 release of this particular film.
Oh, cool.
And I believe it went straight to digital online. I looked for it on DVD, but the nostalgic person that I am at times, and from stuff that I had from when I was a kid, I believe in 2005, I bought a VHS copy sealed and I converted it to DVD.
Nice.
And I've had it since. I still have the VHS copy, which is so funny. And yeah, it's I had to unseal it though to convert it because you had those VHS to DVD converters. So I could actually watch it on DVD and enjoy it as it was. Obviously, to my dismay, I was like, wow, what was I thinking? But it still holds true to certain scenes that I do admire and I love from action films and things from this kind of genre that you and I both love. So
yeah. And it's kind of funny because I don't own this movie at all, which is surprising because then when I thought about it, I was like, damn, I should at least have some copy of Megaforce around here. But it wasn't a movie that I saw in a theater. Like literally, my first introduction to Megaforce was at the back of a comic, like a Marvel comic, when they were advertising on the back. And I was like, what is this?
And then you got to see it on like a rental of VHS. Yeah, HBO.
I watched it on HBO.
I got to watch it on VHS when they had when video rentals were huge come 83. So obviously it went straight to VHS for rental fees and whatnot. I think I rented the crap out of it because at that time by 83 I was 11. I was all in the deep of, into the whole G.I. Joe aspect of it. And, but this movie itself, if we look at the ratings currently now that are listed on Rotten Tomatoes, it's got 6% on a tomatometer and 43% on a popcorn meter. And the tomatometer, as they call it, is literally actual critics. And the 43% from the popcorn meter is literally from fans. So obviously some people herald it as something that they go to because honestly, it's based upon nostalgia. Right. So,
and that's the biggest thing with me is it's not one of those movies that even I sit around and I'm like, damn, I need to watch some Megaforce. No, like when you said it to me, I hadn't thought of Megaforce in so many years, but I've seen it. I've seen it multiple times. So
yeah, it still rings in your head.
Right.
It's like it's a memory. It's like I remember that movie. Wow. Oh, I remember that scene. I remember this. So yeah, it's one of those that keeps in your mind. So for those who haven't watched it, just watch it once, and then you'll either blame us and complain to us, or you'll laugh and get a good chuckle out of it after you listen to our little talk about it and go, okay, yeah, I could see the nostalgic point of view of it.
Well, obviously for this type of a film, guys, best bet, go in with low expectations, right? Don't be expecting that this is going to be a masterpiece.
No.
It isn't.
No.
However,
it's riddled with 80s.
oh, it's so 80s. It is so 80s. It's like just Barry Bostwick's hair alone. With his
all
little
feathered and
yeah, like
up.
it's oh my god, he didn't need the motorcycle to fly with all the feathering in that hair.
No, he didn't.
Anyway,
and the bandana on him, like the headband,
right? And the little thin bandana. It's not even like a bandana where you folded it up and it's like solid snake style where it's like a full inch on your forehead. No, he's got like bra strap. Filming locations.
Yeah.
This was filmed in Las Vegas, Nevada, basically covering for a third world country that we've never all heard of. It's,
Yeah. The notes
anywhere
that
a stand.
Yeah, the notes that I found, literally, it says the 1982 film Megaforce was primarily filmed in Nevada, utilizing locations such as Red Rock Canyon National Conservation Area, the nearby Jeans Dry Lake, which was the dry lake that they talk about in the film, the Valley of Fire State Park, and Nevada Old Gold Strike Railroad Tunnel. And additionally, some scenes were shot at Edwards Air Force Base in California, at the Mojave Desert, and at Raleigh Studios in Hollywood, California. So it does make sense because everything is a desert terrain with any of the battlefield moments, or even in some of the key location moments when you first meet people. It's literally right there, and you're like, okay. Oh, man. But as for any movie, there's always a composer, music by Kevin Russell, Todd Howarth, and Jonathan Cain. Lyrics, because there was a song called Megaforce in it, and you could actually hear that on YouTube during action movie soundtracks. There's a few, and I'll probably release them on this, that have like a variety of action soundtracks, and this is one of the songs that shows up. Oddly enough, I have one where they have intro clips from different movies that are popular within the 80s, and some of them don't even mesh up properly to the music that's there at times. So you'll hear stuff from like Lost Boys, and it does go into the Lost Boys song, but you'll hear like a Rocky intro and it'll be a different song all completely. And you're like, what is this? Or, for Iron Eagle and Karate Kid, all that cool stuff. Yeah. It's a pretty cool mix to listen to. Yeah. So the song that the lyrics were on, for the lyrics by James McClarty, was performed by the band 707. And it was produced by Keith Olsen, and oddly enough, it was available on Boardwalk Records and tapes. So they do have a vinyl of this. If you go to conventions, I've seen them there. When I've gone to a convention and you go thumb through old soundtracks, you will find this. They did release it on CD in the late 80s on Faris Sarabande.
Yeah, they got to make their money. They got to make their money back somehow. They were doing everything they could.
Yeah.
Licensing toys that never really happened.
Yeah, there was no toy line on this, oddly enough.
Exactly. So. I would love to say that like they took Eagle Force and basically like saw how bad Megaforce did and was like, we're just going to call them Eagle Force. And they really don't look anything alike except for that Eagle Force wears gold jumpsuits. So,
yeah, that is true. Awesome.
For effects, the special effects in an 1982 film Megaforce were primarily handled by the team at Introvision. Specifically, William Mesa was the visual effects supervisor for Introvision. Other members of the Introvision team included Charles Chiodo, who's from a very famous family, the Chiodo brothers. If anybody who's watched Critters or anything like that. Douglas Dawson, Tim Donahue, Ann Flagg, Michael Griffin, Roger Lee, Tom Nord, Eugene P. Rizzardi, John Steers, and Laura Molina. Additionally, Cliff Wagner Sr. and several others are credited with special effects work, and some are uncredited.
Yeah, and I wouldn't put it past that a lot of the special effects work were mostly the green screen or the backdrop paintings that we get, or matte paintings in the background of like certain scenes.
Right.
And then the holograms that we get. Yeah.
Yeah, but also since Hal Needham is a stuntman, or that's how he started his career, he has those people that he knows, you know what I mean? So I'm sure he had people who were willing to go in and show up and just like collect a paycheck without getting credited. So, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where part of that 20 million went.
All right. So we should move on to people we may know within the film itself. So would you start us off?
Okay. Barry Bostwick, who plays Ace Hunter. Barry Knapp Bostwick is an American actor. He is best known for portraying Brad Majors in the Rocky Horror Picture Show and Mayor Randall Winston in the sitcom Spin City.
Yeah.
He's in lots of other things.
Oh, yeah.
Too many to mention.
Exactly.
If you saw his face, you'd know him. He shows up a lot in Law and Order, too. So, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't want to go too far into it because we have a tendency of like going on and on and on in this podcast. Another one that we have in the film is Evan C. Kim, and he plays Sookie. Not Sookie Stackhouse, everybody. Not from that particular show. Sookie, oddly enough. And it's kind of racist in the way of the name itself, if you think about it nowadays. Code name Sookie. Okay. So Evan C. Kim is an American actor. Is best known for playing Harry Callahan's partner, Inspector Al Quan, in the fifth and, well, they say most recent Dirty Harry film.
Yeah.
The Deadpool, which we all know. The movie Caveman, which was a comedic farce back in the early 80s as well, in 1981.
It's Ringo Starr.
Yeah, Ringo Starr's movie. Dennis Quaid was in it. Shelley Long from Cheers was in it. It's an older film. It's a spoof on cavemen with dinosaurs. It's hilarious if you ever get to watch it.
It's
it is
really
dated.
Funny, yeah.
He was also in Kentucky Fried Movie in 1977 and Hollywood Vice Squad in 1986.
Hollywood Vice Squad, dude. That brings back memories.
Yeah, right.
Wings Hauser and shit. Michael Beck, who played Dallas. Michael Beck is an American actor. He's known for the roles as Swan in The Warriors and Sonny Malone in Xanadu and as Coda in Triumphs of a Man Called Horse. Yeah, and that's where I knew him from, was mostly The Warriors, but also he had a show for a little while, which was Houston Nights, was it?
Yes.
With Michael Pare. And I loved that show because Michael Pare walked around with 2 6 hours, and that's why, to this day, my favorite gun is 6 Hour.
Yeah, I always remembered him from The Warriors. It's a legendary film. I love that film even to this day.
Oh, that's something I had to watch at least once a year.
Yeah, same here. And, you know, that's an all-star studded cast. We haven't talked about that on this show yet, but that's another movie that will be brought up. Xanadu is always another one. That was also a disco flop for its time because we had Olivia Newton-John in there. And Michael Beck was the guy, the love interest and stuff like that. And that was all mystical disco world at that time. Oh, my
goodness. I remember that.
So, and to continue forth a little bit, Persis Kambata, and she plays Zara. So, Persis Kambata was an Indian actress, model, and beauty pageant title holder, best remembered for playing Lieutenant Ilya in the feature film Star Trek: The Motion Picture, the original one in the 70s. If you all remember, she was the one that was bald.
Right.
Talk about V'ger. So this is something that our friend Jerry Gonzalez would have loved to talk about, but eventually we'll get to a Trek at one point, but he has a love for Star Trek. Other movies like She-Wolves of the Wasteland from 1988. Okay, well, obviously that was a B movie at one point, if you think about it. That was a straight-to-video rental. Nighthawks in 1981, if you remember that, had Sly Stallone in it.
Right. And
So
Rutger
that's a
Hauer.
very and Rutger Hauer. Yeah, very popular film.
Yeah.
And of course, yet another interesting kind of B movie, Warrior of the Lost World. And that came out in 83.
All right. Also in our cast is Edward Mulhare, who played Byrne White. Edward Mulhare was an Irish actor whose career spanned 5 decades. He is best known for starring in roles in 2 television series, The Ghost and Mrs. Muir, which I used to watch when I was a kid.
Same here.
And Knight Rider, which I'm pretty sure anybody who is a fan of the genre watched Knight Rider. So,
yep, same here. That's how I always remembered him, those 2 particular predominant roles.
which is a shame because he's been in a lot of different things.
Oh, yeah. He's been around a lot more and has done other cameos and stuff. Next up, George Firth, who plays Professor Eggstrom, and they call him Egg in the movie.
Right.
George Firth was an American libertarist. I don't know how you would explain it.
Yeah,
this is librettist, I guess is the proper term. Playwright and actor. And movies we have seen him in are The Cool Ones in 1967. I think I remember him specifically in these next 2 movies, most of all, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in 1969. Right. We all remember that. Robert Redford and Paul Newman. He played one of the characters within that you cannot forget. And then, of course, Blazing Saddles in 1974.
Love Blazing Saddles. He's awesome in Blazing Saddles.
Oh, yeah.
Henry Silva, who played Guerrero. Mm-hmm. Henry Silva was an American actor with a film and television career which spanned 50 years. Prolific character actor in over 140 productions. He was known for his dark, sepulchral looks and brooding screen presence that saw him often play criminals, gangsters, or other tough guys in crime and action films like The Boss in 1973. Code of Silence was a Chuck Norris movie in 1985. And Above the Law, which is a Steven Seagal movie in 1988.
Yeah.
So he likes to get his butt kicked by martial artists.
Yes, he's pretty much, it's the typical typecasting of anybody at that point. And of course, it has to be the Spanish.
He was also in Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. So
that he was. He was the assistant to Queen
Ardala.
Yeah.
Ardala, yeah.
Yeah, Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, Wiggle Gerard, and
Mel Blanc played Twiggy.
Yep. And the lovely Wilma Deering that was in it too. So yeah, that's another nostalgic thing that I love. I have that show.
Yeah.
A lot of people hate it, but I still enjoy it. All right, this is where we get into a little discussion, which is usually extended, but it's our general thoughts of the movie. So start us off, Frank.
So if you've watched this movie and you maybe are familiar with, pop culture at the time in 82, you might notice some similarities to G.I. Joe. And that's, in my observation, it's basically, this is literally like a live action G.I. Joe. It's gadgets, weapons, explosions, where nobody dies. No,
nobody actually does die.
Almost. I'm going to say you technically could say there's three guys that show up with a rocket, and they're going to take out the command center, like the rolling command center.
Yeah.
And they literally get disintegrated, but you still don't see bodies. So who knows? They could have been transferred to another dimension for all we knew, and they're still alive and well. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't. It's 80s popcorn sci-fi. So
Yeah.
you never know. But yeah, I mean, at 13 years old at that time, I was just like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yep. Yeah.
And you get to know now, when you watch it again, you're like, huh, my 13-year-old self was kind of dumb.
Yeah.
But
well, you're older
still
than I am, but I saw
nostalgia.
Yeah, I was 11 or so when I saw this, and when it came out, I was 10, so I was all into that whole G.I. Joe thing. I actually was collecting the comics. I was reading and collecting the comics at age 10, and I started off with issue number 4. It's either 3 or 4, and it was Tanks for the Memories. And obviously, there's a huge tank in the front of it, and they're in, I think, Pittsfield, Massachusetts at that point, doing a parade or something.
I believe, yeah,
as I recall, the issue.
Comic books go, yeah,
yeah, and it was so funny because it was just so funny just to watch this stuff, because I'm like, as you watch this movie, there are so many connections between G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, that we said before, that came out around the same time from the comic, and then within the toy line that came out from Hasbro that stemmed from, you said Kenner, from the original. You were talking before we came onto the podcast.
It was Hasbro.
It was Hasbro.
Kenner is Star Wars.
Oh, I thought you said Kenner. It was Hasbro that launched.
Mattel did the
Mattel
uniforms, right? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they did the full 12-inch dolls at the time, I believe.
Right. At that time, when they first started out, like old G.I. Joe was like 12 inches.
Yes.
And I had a few of those. Matter of fact, I even had Bullet Man, which is an embarrassing one to have. But anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. They were 12 inches. And then in 82, like freely from out of nowhere, they basically decided to make the figures 3 3/4 inches, which now thinking about it, I'm like, you know what? Star Wars was 3 3/4 inches. They figured we want to come up with something that's going to rival Star Wars. However, we're going to make ours more movable because they had bending elbows, bending knees, whereas the Star Wars figures were just, at your hips, at your shoulders, your head, but that was about it.
But they did that, and they were trying to, and then they calling the action figure at that point too, instead of
not dolls, they're
not
action
dolls.
figures.
And obviously the you said the Mattel line.
Well, Mattel did the
12-inch dolls.
uniforms for the movie.
The
movie uniforms were made, but were actually made by Mattel, and they were probably planning to make something, an actual toy line out of it, but it never materializes.
Yeah. But
I think there's like Matchbox. That's the closest that you get. There's like little Matchbox dune buggies and the motorcycles. Yeah.
Yeah. The comparison from the movie to the Real American line, if you look at the characters, they're all wearing onesies, but they never had that in the Real American Hero. They had the zippered up, super tight, where you could tell what religion these guys are.
Oh, yeah.
And how the crotch it's like, whoa, guys. But they had individual call signs and names in it. It's very similar to the Real American Hero toy line from G.I. Joe. Names like you got Hunter for the commander, Dallas, and
he's like
Six Killer,
Sookie,
and Zach had something else that he named himself completely to to the general that showed up. But it's so funny because they have very much the same characteristics like the Joes themselves.
Right.
Dallas has that Southern twang, but
he's cowboy.
He's a cowboy, which is so funny too, because if you think about it, he's got a on everybody's left arm, they have an indication of where they come from. Ace has the American flag. Suki has the Chinese flag.
Right.
And then there's a Hispanic guy that has, I think it's the Puerto Rican flag.
No, that's I think that's Mexico. Because Puerto Rican flag is red, white, and blue.
Ah, okay. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I couldn't really get a good look at it, and I knew it was like a Latino.
It's either
country,
Mexico or Colombia.
It's a possibility. It was green, I think. It had a bit of green in it.
Yeah, it's more than likely Mexico, and it's interesting because they explain a little bit in the movie. Like Hunter is explaining, like, hey, each military throughout the world takes their best person or their best couple of people, and they send them over to them to be part of Megaforce. So
Correct.
they're all wearing the patch from the country that they're from.
Correct.
And like Six Killers, American Indian, so he's wearing a United States flag. Dallas, if I'm not mistaken, is wearing a Confederate flag.
Yes, that's what I was going to bring up. It's so funny. I'm like, that's not from a country. That's a little bit kind of racist at certain points at this day and age, but
it's the 80s.
I could guarantee you if they put it out now, it's like, oh, we got to blur that one out.
It's the 80s.
It is the 80s. There's no holds barred on that one. And it was so funny, though, just to see that. But it's so funny because they have uniform dress when they're eating in the cat, like for dinner, and they're all. It's like completely. It's like all blue with almost like something out of Star Trek, where it's like draped over.
Their Ace has got this like really like light blue ascot. I'm like, dude, come on.
And some of the vehicles, if you look at them, they are very similar to G.I. Joe, with like the motorcycles with the machine guns on them, with the rocket launchers on the sides.
Yeah.
You got the Doom buggies that are there as well that have like a cone shape to the snout to it. You got tanks, their modern version of tanks, almost similar to like a HISS tank, but it was trying to be modern. You have to think about what cost them the money in building this stuff. And where is it now? Who's the collector that has these vehicles in there?
Somebody's got that for sure, because Hal Needham has made he did when he was alive. He made a big point of pointing out that all of those vehicles that you see in the movie are working vehicles. They are a thing that he actually had built that were, I mean, when I say built, I mean, you take a dune buggy that already exists and just slap some, plastic on it to cover and make it look futuristic. Give it a whirring chain gun on the side or two rockets on the front that don't really work, but in the movie they're awesome. You like
they look
when you're
amazing.
A kid at 13 years old, seeing that, I was like, this is going to be the greatest movie ever. I was like, rockets and motorcycles with machine guns on the front of them, and the introduction to them is crazy because that's the first thing that you really see. Is like, oh, welcome to our place. You're just in time for target practice.
Yep,
and that's how it starts off.
Yeah, and a lot of the intro, if you look at the movie, is stuff that comes in later in the film from action sequences, and all they do is they do a reverse negative, so it's black and white with distortion on it, so you get the silhouettes of everything and the warring and battling of it as with the intro music, which is totally 80s too, by the way, very keyboard driven and all that stuff going through it. It's that's where the nostalgia comes in because it is
Yeah.
pure 80s in it, but it works in a sense of if this is the stuff that you liked as a kid, it's great. I love that some of the they have that camouflage mode where Dallas points it out. It's like
Yeah.
let me take your hat, and he puts it there, and it's like it just basically it's almost like a chameleon. It can actually camouflage within its own setting. So they don't really use it at all, but they do use the whisper function, which is like a
Well, they
quiet.
do. They actually do use the camouflage function because at night everything is black.
Oh, that is
Everything is
true.
black at night, and then when the sun comes up, you see them start gradually changing from black to the actual Megaforce colors.
Okay.
As the day gets on, now and they even mentioned in the movie, we're gonna start showing our colors.
You're right. You're right. Yep.
So it's interesting, and it's like kind of the lore in the movie is where Barry Bostwick has said in the past that the government didn't want this movie to come out because it was very similar to stuff that the United States government was doing. And I wouldn't be surprised. There are actually like things that you can see in deployment now where it's like, oh yeah, dune buggies with machine guns on them. Sure, they've got that,
Nowadays.
Motorcycles, they might not have machine guns on them because that's kind of impractical, but they've got rapid deployment for like scouts and things like that. If you need to move fast, there aren't too many things that are better than a dirt bike to go ahead and go into a war zone with.
That is true. And if you look at a few scenes, those dirt bikes, their shocks are really getting worked on at times. They did put on top of the tanks at one point laser guns. So you could see it come up as well, but they put in the effects of the lasers. Very similar if you think about it. If you look at the original Real American Hero cartoons, they're lasers. They're not actual guns. But
and again, nobody dies. It's lasers, missiles, all
regardless
these things.
of there being real tanks and the amount of money to pour into having real military tanks. Now, I'm not kidding you. Close-ups were done in real tanks, and you could see the maneuvers that they were doing. They were using ammo or rounds, or if not with special effects and using dummies at one point. But the explosions and everything, that took a lot of money. And for this movie to have that kind of a budget where it was like in $20 million back then, that was a lot of money for them. But he must have knew somebody that could do that because that would have, and to pay off somebody to use those vehicles, the amount of tanks that they used, and having the explosions so close, it's just mind-boggling. Boggling just to think about it. Mind-boggling. It's just typical. I got that from a movie, obviously, but it's like then you get the trope of the typical comparison to G.I. Joe, which I like. Is like good against evil. One being fighting for freedom of the world and the other for tyranny and taking over. But in this, there's like it's a bunch of confusion by the end of the movie. You don't know who's bad because Ace is friends with
part
Guerrero.
of it is exactly right. And actually I kind of like that. I actually really like the fact that they're like frenemies, Guerrero and Ace actually went through like military school together. They served together. They've known each other for years. And even in this movie at one point, like Guerrero literally flies in on a white medical helicopter and they start just jawing back and forth, which I enjoyed because it makes sense when you think about, okay, these two guys are friends. They respect each other.
Mm-hmm.
Guerrero is doing whatever he does, and he specifically they specifically say this. He only does these things for money. He doesn't give a shit about what that country is interested in, what their
Yeah.
politics are. He just cares about they're paying him. He's going to try to go ahead and win the fight because they're paying him.
Yeah.
And Hunter is the idealist. He is consistently like, I'm not going to do that. And matter of fact, there's a point where he makes him an offer. He says, look, your guys are surrounded. There's no way that you're going to be able to get out of here.
Mhm.
My tanks will just destroy you. I'll give you the opportunity. If your men drop your weapons, I'll take you and we'll fly out of here right now. And Ace is just like, your helicopter doesn't have enough seats. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not leaving my men behind. And he's like, you disappoint me, but I'd be more disappointed if you didn't do that, because you've never figured out that soldiers are expendable. And he's like, and you've never figured out that it's more than just making money, you know? So
Yeah. And it's so funny too, because he brings up a story about Guerrero,
Right.
About his lighter. He goes, I had him this close.
Yeah.
Then he stole my lighter.
He's like, you did steal my lighter. And they're back and forth. There's a couple of running jokes in this that are actually really funny.
Yes.
Like one that's the one of the pilots. He's like, hey, if I don't make it back, can you call my girl? And the dude's like, I was going to call your girl anyway. And then he's like, later on, he's like, oh, they're like, hey, is it okay if I call your girl? It's like, yeah, I guess you can. Everybody else is. And then also the whole thing with Hunter and stuff.
And there was also a running bit too with, like, you know, it's some people would take it as racist, like the American Indian bit, and he's doing a crossword puzzle, and there's somebody throwing a knife, and the effects on the swoosh of the knife and back and forth with the knife is hilarious. What's this for that? Okay, it's like, and then as they're ready to jump off the plane in their parachutes and whatnot, he's like, "What's that American Indian that's so legendary?" It's like Geronimo.
Yeah, because it was it was crossword, and it was a role that was played American Indian chief, and it was they were trying to figure out what actor had done it. They said Brando first, and then they're like, no, that's not enough letters. Then before they jump, they are like, oh, it's Lancaster, and he's like, well, what was the part that he played? And they're like, Geronimo, and then that's when they jump
off.
So yeah.
And then the typical 80s tropes in it too, because right around this time we had Rubik's Cube come out, and they're all playing it. They're all playing with it. There's three of them playing with it, and then Zach's like, "Yep, throw it to me." And he's supposed to be
I'll do it. Yeah,
he's supposed to be the brains of the group. So he goes, I've been working on that for like 2 months already. And then he throws it back at him, and it's all completed.
And that's the thing with this movie. There's a lot. There's a very large amount of tropes in this one, and they're not the best nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, you know what I mean? Like, you've got, yes, we've got Dallas, who's a cowboy. Suki's wisecracking through things. Zach he's got his headphones on when he meets the general.
Mm-hmm.
And he's wondering, you're thinking to yourself, oh, he's listening to hip hop. He's like, I'm listening to Vivaldi, Rites of Spring or something like that. And
the general goes, it's Rights to Winter, and he goes, no, Rights to Spring.
yeah. He's in there, and then he's also quoting like Macbeth.
Hamlet. Yeah.
Hamlet. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was hilarious. Yeah, and it's like he's showing up the general with his smarts, at certain points, because it's like, oh yeah, I showed you, you're an idiot. And then there's key moments of like humor in it that like the holograms that were in there. It's like when we first see Dallas, he projects it. He goes, oh, well, I could have put this on for you. It's like, oh, there she is. And it's like a hologram projected in the desert against a rock bed. Right. And it's a woman like in a bikini in Hawaii. going by the water. And they use it later on, too, as a distracting point with the guys on the motorcycles, because they just want to distract them from doing anything from the command center. And then, obviously, with the refueling at a certain point, there's some jokes flying around about that, too. Hey, did we get anything? And
I actually, and that's one of those things that it's an 80s movie, and normally, why would you even have that? You know what I mean? Because 80s movies, the hero never runs out of bullets.
yes,
You know what I mean? He just does whatever he needs to do. They actually took the time because, and I think this is part of, like, with Hal Needham having working vehicles and everything like that, he really wanted to show, like, if this was really deployed, this is something that you need. They built a rearming, refueling station, and they actually use it. They actually line them up and have them start refilling the rockets, the ammunition, the gasoline. And I was like, dude, you never see that in a movie, mainly because they'd be like, that's just too freaking boring to just watch a bunch of guys.
or it's time consuming on a scene that we could delete.
It's like, just assume that happened. But they actually did it, and they built it, and it's a nice little set that is a nice little add-in to this movie.
A lot of, like, I already mentioned it about the matte paintings that you do get. Just like with G.I. Joe, because I lived in Staten Island most of my life. The one cool thing about the comic is, where was G.I. Joe's hidden fortress? In Fort Wadsworth, Staten Island, underneath the ground. And it had multiple levels. So in this, they talk about the amount of concrete that is made, and it's multiple levels underground. And you do see this, and as they're doing the tour on their little the little driving device, like a golf cart that was taking them around doing the tour, and that's when they see all the vehicles and everything. But you can see it go in a hole or whatever. That's like it's kind of dated because of the green screen and
see
everything.
The other one that we got for our planes and our helicopters and all that stuff.
Oh no, it was more about the water-based stuff that I think he was talking about. Yeah, because we were passing all the, like, oh, isn't that still being tested? Yes, it is. I thought that was in the prototype stage. Yeah, it is. We have it. And it's like, oh, okay. And I love the background point of it. You kind of brought it up about the people who that are brought into Megaforce. They actually, he says it. It's like, even Ace says, well, when they're brought in based upon their talents, they have to they are given a death certificate. Their friends and family are notified. They are no longer existing. They only exist here. Hence why the code names. And then enough Dallas goes, yeah. And the worst part of it is, you have to, volunteer for this.
Yeah.
And I love how they vet it out too, is because I remembered it and I didn't write anything down for it, but I have it up. It says, in the context of the movie, SCUF, which is an acronym for it that they use, is for the Supreme Command United Freedom Force, is what is backing up this group. SCUF. So this organization serves as the umbrella under which the international elite military team known as Megaforce operates. So it's kind of like the hierarchy of the government instead of the Men in Black,
That's actually in the beginning of the movie. The first thing that they start off with is like a little blurb where they're telling you about, well, the government denies the existence of Megaforce at all. And that's just the whole thing of, hey, so this story never happened and whatever the hell.
Kind of like Highlander. It's like, nobody knew we existed amongst you till now. Oh my goodness. But yeah, there's so many key moments in it that get you entertained, whether it be humor, action or whatnot. And that's really what it all boils down to.
And we aren't really talking about the plot. And I'll tell you why we're not really talking about the plot. There isn't much of a plot.
No, there isn't.
Okay? There is very little plot to this movie. They send Megaforce to this country because Guerrero keeps crossing the border.
Yes.
And that's, they're there essentially to stop him. And then they do their job, which they take out a bunch of empty pueblos, basically. If you've ever seen those, they're empty. There's nobody there really. And they are basically like blowing the crap out of these. It's literally just a reason to have them drive around and shoot things and blow them up. And then because they've done such a good job of doing that,
yeah,
now they've pissed off that country. I forget, it's Saran or something like that, or
whatever. It's whatever Zara came from. Yeah,
anywhere Stan, anywhere Stan, and they are, when Ace and Guerrero have their meeting, the general shows up too, and basically says, "Hey, you guys did your job too well. Now we can't let you enter our country. You can't cross our border. Even though we brought you here and we asked you to do this, we are not going to let you back into our country, and no other country is going to let you in because technically you've committed an act of war, and any other country that gives you aid is going to be at war with this other country that you basically attacked." And that's something that Guerrero says too. He's like, "You've basically broken the sovereignty of this country," and they're not happy because remember, he doesn't care. He's only getting paid to do this stuff.
Yeah.
So
his heart's not.
And that's about all of the plot, because they come in, they attack, they get kind of betrayed, and then they have to get out.
Yep.
That's the whole plot. It's like there's a little extra about a romance, but it's so disingenuous because literally you met this woman the day before. She tries out to be in Megaforce, and then you're like, "I can't let you go to this because that would mess up the team." And they've already been working together for so long.
And she's a badass. She's able to fly the helicopter.
She's able to, right. She passes every test.
Yeah, she flies the helicopter. We get the cheese ball.
Yeah.
Like, what was it? Skydiving scene when they jump out of the plane. And it's really bad when it comes to effects. You can tell it's real skydivers at certain points, but they interweave close-ups that are, green screened. And it's just like, okay, all right. and then trying to force a romance, but at the very end, it's just like, I got a date in England, in London.
At the Lion's Head.
Yeah, at the Lion's Head.
Yeah, Lion's Head pub.
Yeah, to have that drink, and she asked for a specific bottle, and 61 instead of a 63, and no, bring 61. Oh, and it's like, okay, she's challenging. And then of course they get one up on the general himself when they blow up his plane when he shows up.
His prized helicopter that he has spent all these years retrofitting and adding carpeting and all this stuff. They're like, "Yeah, you love it so much that you've added carpeting," and that's just a little fact that they throw out there, like in the start of the movie. So it's going to come back around later, and it finally does.
It does, yeah. And of course, the ultimate scene at the end, because Egg kind of goes to Ace, he goes, "Oh, did you test that thing? Oh, we have it in the wind tunnel right now. We're testing it right now. What is it? 1, 2." And then he goes, "Oh, okay." And then it's 1, and then 2, and then they reversing the button on the mechanisms. And he goes, "No, 1. Oh, okay, that's it. All right, yes." And then you don't get to see it until the very end when Ace literally drives up on his motorcycle to see Guerrero, and he knocks on the thing and it says, a silly American 80s catchphrase.
Yes, which is my favorite quote from the movie.
Go ahead, you can say it.
Okay, so it's the good guys always win, even in the 80s.
And he puts the cigar in his mouth, and then he takes off.
The really funny part of that is that he knocks on the tank with his gun, and it just sounds so plastic.
It does. It looks plastic.
It looked like they got it off of like Buck Rogers. Literally, it looked like one of the blasters that they had.
Yeah. Oh man. But we get to see the motorcycle fly because the planes have taken off, because he set them forth saying they're like, oh, we're not going to be able to make it. Well, I only have enough room for leg room for these guys. So they have to ditch some of their vehicles at a certain point. And then Ace does this at the last minute, and then he has to catch up with them. Oh, we lost Ace. We lost Ace.
Planes. They had two C-130s.
Yes, they did.
And one of them, the tanks actually managed to shoot one of the planes to the point that it's damaged, and they're like, hey, we're not going to be able to continue the mission. We're going to have to take off.
Yeah, and they were like, a diversion too at one point. Yeah.
And, we're only going to have enough room for you guys. You're all going to have to leave all your vehicles. These really expensive, high-tech vehicles. But they actually make a point, and again, this is one of the things that it's a nod to realism in a movie that didn't need it.
Yeah.
They're like, everybody set your machine to self-destruct.
Yep.
Because they're not going to leave that stuff there for the enemies to get it.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it's like a Star Trek thing. You can't have our technology, so we're going to destroy it. You can't have a replicator. You can't have this. But yeah, then we get Ace he's racing towards the plane, and plane's already up in flight. They're like, take it down. And then he's like, he does the 1-2, and you see the little wings come out, and he's got the jet propulsion. But the funniest is part of that, and it's kind of goofy, and it is cheeseball 80s, is him doing the wheelie in the air with jerking the front tire to the right. He has
literally no ailerons. He's got nothing that should be able to make this flying bike do these things.
And
yet here he is.
And the cost of those two military style planes too. If you count the amount of wheels and the amount of cargo that they have to hold, those are meant for tanks, high-end, heavy machinery that go into those. Yeah. The cost of rental and the pilot alone, I would imagine it far exceeds the budget of the movie.
Well...
He did know people, and who knows what he did.
Exactly, he knows people. Plus, in the 80s, the military was very okay with if you're gonna do a movie that's gonna make us look good, we're more than happy to give you like when they did Rambo and things like that. There's lots of stories about how
Top Gun.
A Top Gun, definitely. That's the other one. Mm-hmm. They're like, if you're gonna make us look good, we'll give you whatever you need.
Yeah, Yeah, and they would actually offer the pilots to fly it and do the maneuvers. They did that with what was it? Wolverines, the movie. I forget the name of the movie. Screams out Wolverines. All right, we covered here, and obviously Red Dawn. Yeah,
Red Dawn. You said Wolverines, and I was like, Wolverine with Hugh Jackman? No. Then you said Wolverines. I was like,
Wolverines. I did cover it here. It's one of the first few podcasts we actually did cover on this podcast. But it's like, of course, I have to have a brain fart in the middle of a podcast. But yeah, it's movies like that, though, that it's like they will allow that as long as they're able to have their people do it. They did that in Top Gun. They actually had their own guys actually fly those planes and had cameras hooked up to them. unfortunately, in that movie, they did have a casualty, but
Right.
there's no said mention of anything like that within this. So obviously, you have top stuntmen out there that are working on this
Yeah,
film
yeah.
too.
I mean, he's got access to the best of the best when it comes to stuntmen. So
Yeah, and choreographing everything. But yeah, the movie itself was always something that always sticks in my head. But I hold it in not in high regard, but in nostalgia points of like, yeah, I like to think about that a few times, and it
I'll
just
tell you
makes
what,
me laugh.
when I watched it again, I was like, I actually watched it twice. And the reason why was because the first time I watched it, since I've seen it multiple times before,
Yeah.
but as a younger person, I didn't pay attention the first time that I watched it through. And I was like, holy crap, I missed a lot of things when I watched it. So I was like, you know what? Let me watch it again and pay attention.
Mhm.
And actually, it's a lot of fun, especially even at this point where, you know, as many different movies as I've seen and as we've seen,
Yeah.
it's still cool to watch it. It's definitely nostalgia, big time.
Mhm.
The whole way that it is kind of like a G.I. Joe, like it's like a live action G.I. Joe episode.
Mhm.
All of that is still fun. And that's why I say if you go into this movie with low expectations and don't expect to see a masterpiece, you'll at least be entertained. It is entertaining at the very least. So,
Yeah. All right. I think we discussed a majority of what we like. Some of the stuff we don't like in this movie, but we can move on into some interesting facts or unknown facts about the movie. So I'll let you start. We'll alternate on what I had been able to find. So if you want to start us off with the first one.
And we mentioned this a little bit so far, but the costume design was by a toy company, which was Mattel. The film had no credited costume designer. All the clothing for the characters was designed by the toy company Mattel, according to IMDb. This unusual collaboration highlights the film's potential goal of tie-in toy sales, although the film's financial performance suggests this wasn't a smashing success. Yeah, that goes without saying.
Yeah.
But I think it would have been cool if they would have at least tried to do the toys. It might have been more successful than the movie.
I think so too, and that's
it would have been like an alternative to G.I. Joe, which was also out at the same time. However, you know, they just had to be like the lesser version.
Yeah, exactly. I think they were probably trying to span on a series of movies with this, like a trilogy or something.
Oh, there was definitely going to be like a sequel if it did well.
Yeah. Next up, pioneering Intravision. Megaforce was an early user of Intravision, a special effects system that allowed actors to appear to walk within photographic backdrops rather than physical sets. This technology was utilized for creating the Megaforce headquarters, which I mentioned before, with producer A.I. Ruddy calling it an absolutely phenomenal system. Well, compared to current day effects, not so much. But for the time, I guess so.
Yeah. For the time, and it's literally, when you look at what Intravision is, it's basically filming against a photographic backdrop. That became very popular in a lot of movies after that. So it's not like it's never been done, and it's very similar to what they do now, where now it's just the big difference is it's all digital. So they can do whatever they want in the background and just have the actors, like, you know, just standing there. If you've seen like the shooting of Star Wars or the most recent trilogy, they've got that, you know?
Yeah.
So, they also made a big point of the fact that these are all, and we mentioned it a little bit earlier, real working vehicles. Okay, the distinctive cars and motorcycles featured in the film were custom designed by William Frederick, known for his work on Hooper. They cost a reported $1 million and notably were fully functional vehicles, according to IMDb. And I actually read a quote from Hal Needham also, who confirmed, yes, they were all working vehicles. He's like, that was my plan to do, where all of these items were working vehicles. And he specifically was like, and also a movie where nobody dies. Right?
Yeah.
Like he made sure to mention that, yeah, everybody was doing movies at that time with gore, blood, guts,
Yeah,
dogs
exactly.
of war style. But
First
he wanted
Blood.
to do this movie
specifically.
Right. First Blood. He wanted to do this movie where there's, yes, all this military stuff, missiles, guns, planes, tanks, but nobody dies.
Yep.
But again, there's three guys who either get completely disintegrated or get sent to another dimension. So you decide.
Yeah, that is true. Frank, you had mentioned this before, the Pentagon's apparent disapproval. So star Barry Bostwick claimed the Pentagon tried to impede the film's production by withholding 40 army tanks needed for battle scenes. 40. Okay. He suggested this was because Megaforce's concept was very close to covert CIA strike forces still in existence. Wow.
Yeah. So director Hal Needham, he was a renowned stuntman turned director. He was actually injured during filming after falling off a motorbike, sustaining broken ribs and bruising, which for Hal Needham was like another Saturday, but apparently it was a little bit more than it was enough that he had to take some time off to be able to work on the movie.
That is true. So apparently there was an influence on Team America World Police.
Yeah.
So the creators of Team America World Police in 2004 that came out, and if you'll remember it, Matt Stone and Trey Parker are reportedly fans of Megaforce and used it as a basis for the satirical action film, according to IMDb. So those of you who are not South Park fans, those are the creators of South Park, and they did a whole puppet-based movie similar to this.
Yeah, and it's pretty awesome. But they also, in a DVD intro to one of the South Park seasons, they actually were, because they would always come in the beginning and do a little intro for you. Mm-hmm. And they actually started giving when they were talking about the season, they started explaining the plot to Megaforce. And they are like it's Matt Stone is giving the explanation and Trey has to stop him and he goes, "Wait a minute, man. You're talking about Megaforce." And he goes, "Wait, I am? Damn, we should have done Megaforce." So yeah, they actually they know of this movie. They were inspired in a way by this movie to make Team America World Police. If you haven't seen it, check it out along with Megaforce.
And don't watch it with a child.
No, absolutely not. Even though they are puppets and things like that, do not make that mistake.
Yes. It's not a kiddie movie.
This was part of what we all feel, and this is apparently correct, was a planned failed franchise. Despite a significant marketing push, including toy lines by Mattel and Kenner, soundtrack release, video games, Megaforce failed at the box office, grossing under $6 million, which we mentioned earlier, against a $20 million budget. A planned sequel under the title Deeds, Not Words was subsequently canceled.
Interesting. I'm curious. If we all go to a convention and see Barry Bostwick, maybe we could ask him about that question.
Oh, yeah.
So, did you ever see that script?
I'm sure it existed, and based on the fact that if it had been successful, they would have wanted to get started on it like probably right away. Because if you've got that heat from a successful movie, you want to make sure that you're working on the sequel like right away.
Yeah, usually they knew that back then in the 80s. Come obviously with the fame and fortune that comes from Star Wars and movies like that, not those franchises.
Exactly. If you can get like a good movie or a passable movie with a toy line, there you go.
You can bankroll it into it. All right, next up, noteworthy cameo. So apparently director Hal Needham makes a relatively large cameo in the film as the operator of the Mega Fighter command base.
Right.
So that's a cool little thing. He threw himself in his own movie.
He did that often, but hey, why not in Megaforce? All right, so I've got some little extra facts that I added.
All right, cool.
So Michael Beck, who is Dallas, basically he knew the writing was on the wall that this was not a blockbuster. He's quoted as saying, "To say the least, it's not the kind of movie you look for at the Oscars. On the other hand, it paid me and my new family enough to buy our first house, so I'm not about to knock it either." So he knew. I mean, you sometimes when you're in a movie that's not going to be great, and it's yes, you do your best you can because his performance is pretty good in it, but he was like, "Yo, man, it's a paycheck. I got to buy a house,"
You don't know how many actors I've worked with that actually said, I did that for a paycheck. I think when my mom was doing physical therapy with James Earl Jones, he kind of asked me, and I said this to a few people. He asked me, "What are your top 3 films?" And please don't say Star Wars. Everybody says Star Wars. I literally was like, "All right, my number 1." He goes, "All right, go ahead. Conan the Barbarian." And he goes, "Okay, he goes, you are showing your age, Mark. Everybody forgets that I was the villain. It was great to play the villain."
Right.
Okay. I did say Coming to America because he was at the time filming the sequel before he passed away at that time. Gotcha. I think, and his words exactly as we were talking outside before we left was, he says to me and my mother, he goes, "Oh, it's my best work while I laid down." Because he never got up. He was in bed half the time and he was in the coffin in the part 2. And then, of course, the one thing I said to him that he says, "I did that for the money." I said, "Alan Quatermain in The Lost City of Gold."
Oh, my God. Yeah. Richard Chamberlain. Yeah.
He was just like, really? He goes, "I did that for the money."
And so these are just little things that little observations that I was looking at too. They literally had a version of VR training before that was even a thing in this movie. Persis Kambata, when she's trying out to get into Megaforce, has to basically get into this buggy simulator. Yeah. And she's going through it, and it's basically like it's VR training. That's what it is.
It's like an arcade machine back in the 80s, exactly. If you think about it, because we had Mach 4, I think, that came out, and it was like a whole thing where it was like in your face, but you were flying the ship. And Battlezone too, yeah.
Battlezone, where it was literally tanks, and you're like you put your face up to the periscope,
and exactly,
yeah. I already mentioned that as in a nod to realism that they had the fueling station, so I thought that was interesting. And then in the end, that final escape, right? They're all trying to get onto this plane. And the tanks are basically, they're about to start targeting the actual motorcycles, things like that. They all start spewing smoke. And it's awesome but also it's kind of funny because it's really clear that the guys on motorcycles, at least, cannot see with all of this smoke that's going around them.
That is true.
The way that it's set up, the smoke is coming from the front of the bike. So it's just literally billowing into their faces. And I can't imagine that they were happy about that, because that just makes the stunt, the fact that you're already on a real motorcycle trying to go with a line of maybe like 30, 40 people with you, and you have to watch each other. Now you've got the added extra piece of really thick, heavy smoke that does the job of blocking you being able to see.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting and kind of crazy. Not something that we'd really do that way. We use smoke, yes, but usually it's an external grenade or something like that that you block the vision. So anyway, it's just one of my things.
All right, and we can move on to quotes, and we've sprinkled a few here and there, or brought up a few conversations, but there are more that we could bring up, I believe.
There's quite a few, because it's actually, like, again, watching it again, there's a lot of really good quotes in the movie. My favorite has always been, and I said it earlier, that he goes like, I just want to let you remind you. Well, no, he says, I just want to say goodbye and remind you that the good guys always win, even in the 80s. And they like the line so much that if you watch the movie, they do it in the movie, but then at the very end, almost like a freaking Marvel tag on, they have him do it again, or they just play that scene again. Where he's knocking on the tank, and he gets in, and he does the same thing again.
Yep.
But one of my favorites is also where Dallas and Eggstrom, Dallas says, or Eggstrom says to Dallas, because he's giving him grief. He's like, when a person doesn't have less on, they have, and Dallas says, more on, and he goes, exactly. And I thought that was just awesome.
Yeah, it's a joke that I always use every once in a while, which is so funny. One of which I like, it's a conversation between Dallas and Hunter about like women, because it's regarding Zara. And Dallas goes, well, I know how you feel. Dallas goes, well, I know how you feel. And I've been there myself. So let me see. Hunter's like, what did he tell you to do? And he got advice from somebody. This is what Dallas is saying to him. He goes, well, he said, you love them in blue and you love them in red. And Hunter's like, that's totally inapplicable to anything that's going on here. And Dallas goes, you did. And Hunter goes, oh, but it's very wise.
Well, yeah, because he asked him, he's like, that's dumb. He's like, who told you that? And he's like, you did. He goes, but it's very wise.
One of the one of the pilots at a certain point, because they told them to get down 100 feet close to get down close to the Guerrero and everything, and Dallas tells him that, and then the pilot, I forget the actor who plays him, he goes, son, we're flying so low that every time we pass a jackrabbit, I'm looking him square in the eye.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious.
I can't remember the name either. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a notable actor too, oddly enough. But it's like they're continuous tropes of having known actors, because Needham could actually draw in those people at that time. They were probably more the typical players that he always worked with in action films, or side characters. They're always in there at certain points.
Well, he frequently collaborated with like Burt Reynolds.
He was Burt Reynolds' friend. It's actually a documentary about him, Hal Needham, and I think it was produced by Reynolds before Reynolds had passed several years ago, because Needham actually stunt doubled for Reynolds for a lot of stuff, for like Smokey and the Bandit and everything. There's one key stunt scene I'm forgetting. I don't know if it was Smokey and the Bandit, but literally he was standing as the character, or he was the one that was jumping over with the car over the person in the scene. And I'm forgetting, but it's a key.
I forget which one it is. It's either Smokey and the Bandit, or it might even be Hooper.
It's a possibility.
Because there were a lot of stunts in Hooper.
Yeah. But yeah, that's where his legacy is. That I would say, if you're all into the stunt stuff or into these action sequence movies that we are, obviously muscle car movies, I love. Everybody knows that I love Vanishing Point. I love Death Proof, and that was another movie that was in response to like Hal Needham and those guys, and it's got Kurt Russell in there and a nice all-star female cast in it at certain points that you just love to death to watch. But yeah, I would recommend checking out. You could find those documentaries. They could be found on like Amazon and HBO Max and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that's about it when it comes to our episode and our coverage of the 1982 film Megaforce. And I hope you guys liked it. If you never saw the movie, go watch it and reminisce and go, yeah, they were talking about this part. I gotta, okay, and you pick it up. Or you could be like, oh, I gotta watch that again just to see how bad it is. So be forewarned.
Again, low expectations.
If you like that kind of stuff like Frank and I do, just go watch it.
Oh yeah.
Anyhow, so we're at the point in the podcast. Well, where can listeners hear you, Frank?
On any podcast that has me on.
Yeah, like here, Pounds to Pixels podcast,
Adrenaline Cinema.
Yeah.
Panels to Pixels.
Anything that we generally do here. It's like Frank is part of the old crew from Fantasy Picks Movie Edition. We just keep coming back. We're going to have more discussions of other things. We have a few things put in the pit for Frank, Adam, Rob, and myself. So look forward to hearing more from us. If there's anything you guys want us to discuss or some points, because we got some really great feedback from my friend Alma Contreras about our Jaws coverage, and she really did enjoy that. And thank you, Alma, for submitting that when you did. We brought it up the last time when I was recording with Jamie. So
nice.
Yeah, you can hear me here as always on Adrenaline Cinema Podcast. We're looking to get more and more content out to you guys. Obviously, Laura and Billy with an IE are still editing and working on that thing for about Mayfair Witches, their season 2 coverage before we get into the Telemasca or Interview with the Vampire, which is really Vampire Lestat. So the Vampcast will be back eventually with that when that show comes back on. Look forward to that. My coverage of the movie Rad with my friend Robert Muir. And you could also hear me on Pounds to Pixels podcast. Like I said, you might hear some of the guys too from formerly Fantasy Picks Movie Edition when we cover Peacemaker, because we're recording this on the 21st. Peacemaker comes out in a couple of days. So we look forward to covering that on Pounds to Pixels podcast. Because we just love that character. And then, Steve and I we finalized our coverage of Ironheart. Steve will probably be on Peacemaker, but he had some surgery done recently, so he's healing up. He's going to be back. We're going to do more on Adrenaline. We're probably going to do Lethal Weapon 3 to finalize, or not finalize, because they're looking to do another Lethal Weapon sequel.
Yeah,
eventually.
They're throwing that around.
So there's more to come. I'm looking to do the new Running Man when that comes out too on Adrenaline.
Yeah, that looks interesting.
And obviously, if I could convince my friend Catcraft to come back, we already covered Nobody, the original movie. We're gonna probably cover Nobody too. She actually mentioned it to me today that she saw it. You could also hear me on the Pirate Core Entertainment Podcast when we do the Pirate Core Music Cast. So I have a couple of interviews with friends that are in the music business. We're going to put those out. I have other people that working on their own ideas and thoughts, so they're going to do that. And you could also hear me on my friend Becky's podcast, What's On Tonight? And we're covering Dexter Resurrection on that. So she has me on constantly. So we have only a couple more episodes in that show, but please check it out. You can find it on the Pirate Core Entertainment podcast feed, as well as on the What's On Tonight feed on Spotify. And you can find all that there. All you have to do is search for it, but also subscribe, let people know, and give us some feedback. And with feedback, very easy to submit your feedback. All you have to do is go to our Facebook group. I did post an image of Megaforce to see if anybody would send in anything. Didn't get anything. I was waiting for somebody to actually say, I hate that movie. I never got it. But all you have to do is go to our Facebook group, which would be facebook.com/AdrenalineCinemaPodcast. I did post an image. You can leave your thoughts in the comments below. It also shows up on Instagram, and that's at AdrenalineCinemaPod on Instagram. So you could just follow us there, but obviously the image will be there. You just put your thoughts in there too. We could be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify as well. You could actually give us a rating or review. Please do so, as always. And we do get comments through Spotify as well. So if you do comment through Spotify, I will get them. We could be found on YouTube as well. We get comments through that as well. But sometimes you'll see a interview once I get them, and you can see my ugly mug or whatever I'm wearing at that time, interviewing who knows who. And then you could leave your comments and we'll get them there, and we could read them out later on. If you're going to follow us on YouTube, please subscribe, ring the bell to get notified, and please give us a thumbs up if possible. So with that, and then also check out, the other podcast right now is What's On Tonight for the Pirate Core Entertainment, network that's out there. Trying to incorporate everything else. Got to work on that stupid website. Still haven't gotten to it. So if you look for it, it's
on the to-do list.
It's on my to-do list. It's always there. I just haven't. I've been lazy. Actually, I've been working on and off, and it's been crazy.
You're working on a lot of stuff, so.
Yeah. But anyhow, I just want to thank everyone out there listening to the podcast, and thanks to Frank for being on.
Hey, happy to be here.
All right, so this was Adrenaline Cinema Podcast, and we'll see you when we change the reel. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey! Hi, Duke. Oh, listen, I just wanted to say goodbye and remind you that the good guys always win, even in the 80s. See you, Duke.